now we're going to, that's it.
There we go. All right. So I just got back from work and John went and got us a washer dryer combo. How exciting. We're gonna put it in. Well,
yep.
We're gonna
get it into the RV for tonight.
But then we will obviously make sure that John videotapes him actually putting it together, right?
Yes.
We're gonna be vigilant about this and actually do something.
Much better this time.
What'd you get us? What is it?
Well, it's a Splendid combo unit of the vented variety. So, yeah, we're gonna have fun putting this thing in.
All right, we will catch you guys again. All right, we, with a few of my fingers being squished, got this in place. What are you doing next?
We're gonna put this access panel in.
Which one did we get?
It's just a sort of plastic access panel you could get from Lowe's.
And is that going into the closet?
Yeah, it's gonna go so that way we can reach behind, because if you look, there's nowhere for you to put an arm in to get anywhere.
Correct. And then what do we have to do? We have to take this out and squish more of my fingers.
Yep. More than likely, yeah, we'll have to take it back out again just to make sure that we possibly knew it. We don't necessarily for sure know it.
And then of course we've got our helpers.
Helpers.
I thought you were gonna stick your head in there. Okay, so John's done a hole.
Is it?
Yeah. Go on. Explain what your plan is.
So here's the access panel. This is the space behind. There used to be a cabinet wall. It basically went from the back of that cherry wood all the way down to the floor and took up all of this, or blocked off all this extra space back here that I need to run my dryer vent. So I took that back wall out, and even though it's kind of ugly back here, I don't really care because nobody's ever gonna see it. So we're basically going to use this extra space that was blocked off to run the dryer vent, probably down in the middle of that corner somewhere. So, yeah. And then we'll use this access panel to hook up the dryer vent and make the dryer vent nice and tight and not long and slouchy like we would if we had to take the dryer vent all the way out to hook it up. Sound good?
Sound good.
All right.
We've retaken it out.
Removed it would be the right word, I think.
Okay, yep. What are you gonna do?
Okay, so while the dryer was in, or the washer was in, the combo unit was in, I reached from here into here to mark the back of the dryer, so that I know that this is the area I want to put the dryer vent in. So the real interesting part is making sure that as we poke this hole through here, we're going to be in a good spot on the outside of the RV. So what I'm going to do is pull a rough measurement from here to the edge of the window, and then go outside and then pull a rough measurement from there, from the edge of the window to here. And just to make sure that I'm not going to push a hole through the edge of the front fiberglass cap.
Cool.
Yep. And so also like the front cap corner, so like the front cap kind of follows this line a little bit at least. So the furthest point of the front cap is about here. So if I do it here, I'm closer to the edge of the front cap. If I do it here, I'm further away from the edge of the front cap. So I think I'm going to put it somewhere in the ballpark of like here. When I go outside, if my center hole is a little bit closer to the front cap than I want, I can come back in and move the front cap, or move the hole, you know, up to 2 inches one way or the other, because it's just the hole and not the hole. So as long as the hole that I drill isn't outside of this hole, it's going to be eaten by the hole saw.
Sure.
Anyway, So what I'm thinking is somewhere in the ballpark of like, I like to put it as far away from the back of the dryer as I can. So I think it's somewhere.
Why farther back?
Just gives me more room to maneuver. More room if we want to push the dryer back, we can. You know what I'm saying? So that way, like, because as it stands, where this line is, the dryer can close or can be where it is, and the door's closed. Yeah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we don't want to push it back in.
Right. So. Okay, just asking.
So this is where the hole came out, and it's a little close to the front cap from what I kind of want. It would leave, you know, potentially it would just be very close to the edge of the front cap. I would like to see a little bit more room than that. So what I'm going to do is go back in and poke another hole somewhere about right here, maybe, you know, like 1.5 inches away. Maybe not a full 1.5 inches, maybe 1 inch, just to give us a little bit more clearance.
Can you do it from the outside to make it perfect?
Probably could. I don't want to though. I'm just gonna go in, poke another hole.
All right. What are we doing? Ooh,
okay. So now we're going to cut our 4 1/8 inch hole. In order to go into the wall, make sure there's no metal aluminum studs in the wall. I don't think there is. It sounds pretty solid here, and it sounds pretty solid here. It sounds kind of hard to tell because it's full of styrofoam, but it sounds pretty hollow. So we're gonna go ahead and make a hole just in the interior. Oh yeah, there's no metal stud there. If we had hit a metal stud, we would have known it. Sound right? Get some masking tape. Go to the outside.
What are you doing with that?
Alright, so now we're going to, actually, let me see it. So if you look closely, you can see already where the, just coming from the outside in, has caused it to just flake a little bit on the fiberglass. So what I'm going to do is cover the outside area of it with masking tape, put the hole saw in reverse to kind of burn in almost, you will, if or with the hole saw. So as you can see, we've covered this area with masking tape just to kind of help keep the cut area clean. Now we're going to put the drill in reverse so that the hole saw creates almost like a burr. So here we're looking to run the hole saw in reverse enough to burn through the fiberglass until you smell the wood burning, which tells you that you've gone to the wood, in which case you can turn the drill in forward and then cut the rest of the way through the wood and into the styrofoam. Alright, and she's cut. Here's the core, and that's all the insulation for our wall. Alright, so this is where we're at now. The hole fits perfectly. This is the Splendid manufactured washer dryer vent, and it just slides right in there perfectly. We're gonna pre-drill the holes for the screws that mount it, and then we're gonna remove it, spread some caulk around the flange and right at the the edge where the flange meets the pipe, reseat it, run the screws in, put a little bit of caulk around the screws, and that should be it. We'll be ready to put the hood on and call it a day.
All right, Donnie.
All right, so before we put the outside piece on the valve for the flapper, I went ahead and liberally applied silicone to the outside, right at the base of the flange where the flange meets the pipe. And I'm just going to squeeze it in and just going to smear that, or squish that silicone out so it creates a good watertight seal. Once it squishes it out, like this, we're going to kind of scrape off the excess, clean it up, so we don't have a lot of excess hanging out. Better to apply a good amount, come back and clean it up, than it is to try to pour more silicone behind. And then up here, where the outside cover goes, we're going to make sure there's no silicone. It's going to hold up our flange. Again, this stuff is hydrophobic. This stuff's hydrophobic, so it does not really like water.
For those who don't know what that means.
What's that?
For those who don't know what that means.
Hydrophobic just means that the silicone repels water, which is why silicone can dry underwater. Here you'll see that I'm using a plastic putty knife and a wet rag, and using the wet rag to clean off the putty knife after I scrape away the excess silicone from the side. It's very important to use a plastic putty knife so as not to damage the outside of your RV. Again, the more you use, truly the better. Huh?
No. And now what are you doing?
So I pre-drilled some holes for each of the 4 corners, and then we're just going to gently run these screws in because we don't want to strip the screws out. Because there's not a lot behind this. It's just a very thin layer of plywood and fiberglass itself. So, very gently run the screws in, just so that way it's snug. This is an impact, so I'm not going to run it until it impacts. Just like that. And that's all it needs. That silicone will hold it the rest of the way on. And see, now that it's squeezed out more, we'll go back and we'll clean it up some more. Just like this. And then bear in mind, this is also going to be covered up as well by the outside piece. I'm just kind of trying to force the silicone in the hole a little bit, just to help get that thing every chance it can be to get it watertight.
inside.
So fun fact, the kit does not come with 4 screws enough to secure the trim plate to the wall. Not a big deal. I'm just going to use the same silicone that we used to seal the outside. Basically just glue this to the wall. And it will basically do the same thing. Probably even...
Did you already put silicone on? Okay, made some more progress. We're about to patch in that beautiful hole. Do you have to screw that too, or do you just use silicone?
No, just silicone. It's just going to get glued in place, essentially. Alright, so essentially what we're doing is just putting a bead of this silicone around it, kind of like glue. And we're just going to take it and put it in. Hold it good and tight. Trust me, it will not come off.
Trusting you.
You will have to fight it. Alright, since Splendide is kind enough to provide us with quite lengthy supply line hoses, we're going to go ahead and hook them up before we get the washer moved. Just that way we have a little bit of extra room for our hands. Cold, cold, hot to hot.
Does it say on there which one's cold?
Yeah. Yeah, you looking at the back of it, there's a blue insert and a red insert and hot. Oh, as well as the sheet of nature.
Oh, big ones. Relax. You don't need to protect us over here. Stressed. Dark, but you can kind of see there's a little bit of space back there. Just showing them that there's a little bit of space, but it's dark. Alright. It's complete. It's on. How do you feel?
Accomplished, I guess.
Glad
this is done.
Yep. So, got lots of options. We can still reach in if we need to. Very nice, babe. Well done.
This definitely was not a definitely not out here to make a lot of room for washers and dryers in this model. So we took a little bit of modification for sure. But I don't really care what it looks like in the closet, as long as it's in the closet.
Yep. And washers are closed.
That's it.
Alright, thanks for joining, guys. Hope this was useful for anyone interested, and we'll see you on the next video.